Today I'm going to be talking about how to optimize for World Cup and for Winter Olympics. But really, this is a framework for how to optimize for any ongoing event, right? Think of it, this is any ongoing event that takes multiple days. How can I optimize for it, okay? Before I start, I'm John Shahada. I'm the CEO and founder of NewsDash, and our company is multiple parts and products. We have the NewsDash, which is the core tool that we provide. We have Ness. Let me know if you ever attended Ness before in the comments. So Ness, our news and editorial SEO summit. This year going to be our 6th year. So I can't believe 6 years. And we get about maybe 400 to 800 people every year. If you never came to Ness, make sure you come this year. And GD Dash is our self-serve analytics tool that connects to your Google Search Console, and it tells you a lot of stuff about historical analysis and so on. And we just recently launched, it's not here, a new conference in Dubai. It was amazing. I just came from last week, and we had like 4 or 5 days, 2 days in Dubai, 100 publishers, 100 SEOs, and it was really a great time. This is some of our clients. The screen is not big enough to include all the publishers. We have about 400 publishers that work with us, where we can help them with updates and so on. And we're very excited that also NBC Olympics, which is the main sponsor for the Olympics, is one of our clients, and our tool has won so many awards. Best search software and so on. So that's us. So enough about us. Now let's start talking about, thank you, Irina. So now let's talk about what are we here for. This is the framework, okay? I'm gonna walk you through 11 steps, okay? For optimizing any multiple days or long event. I did another seminar like this for optimizing a single day event. Today, I'm talking about like if you have an event that expands through like days or weeks, how can you optimize it? So there are 3 phases to the optimization, right? How you can prep for the optimization or for the event. What do you need to do during the event itself? And number 3, what do you do after the event? Okay, so these are the 3 things that we're gonna be talking about. So let's get started and let's talk about the pre-event. So in the pre-event, there are 7 things that you need to prep for. Prepping for big events, guys, or any big moments is half of the work that you need to do. You cannot just go into it. Just to give you some background, I worked for a lot of breaking news sites. I worked for ABC News, ESPN, and many other sites. And preparation was a key to our success in these kind of moments. So we're going to start by analyzing how did you do in the past, right? If you have records, data, traffic, and so on. You're going to conduct keyword research. You're going to analyze the competition. You're going to develop the content strategy. You're going to retrain the editorial team. You're going to audit the site for tech SEO, and you're going to coordinate with ad dev teams. I'm going to go through one by one and give you, I'm not going to say everything, but I'm going to give you a lot of information to prep you for these different things. The first thing is you need to understand, where did you succeed in the past? Okay, what are the articles or news that did very well for you in the past? Usually, I like to look in metric of 3 things: which posts or articles that drove the highest visits, which ones had the highest engagement. So, for example, you think about engagement, time spent on site. If this is important for you, when we did the gallery, when we did this or that, that actually added a lot to our time spent. Or conversions. Let's say you do subscriptions, right? Or you're a subscription-based news publisher. You want to see, when we write long form for these kind of events, it does very well for our conversions. Or when we write like an opinion piece, not a news piece, right? It does very well for our conversions. So this is very important. Now, if you have a year-over-year events, Google Search Console would be good for you. You know, like, okay, let me see what are the keywords that drove us traffic last year. But when you have an event every 2 years or every 4 years, unless you're saving keywords somewhere, right, you will not have access to these keywords. So I encourage you, this is one of the things I did when I first joined Disney and Condé Nast, is I utilize tool to save all my keywords from Google Search Console. So I have a historic, actually I had like a 10 years historic worth of data. So I can see, okay, what are the keywords that worked very well for us last year? So you're gonna collect this information and you wanna understand what is working for you, what is not working for you, and so on. The second thing also, you need to understand search interest, okay? So when you go to Google Trends, you can search, for example, FIFA World Cup. I want to bring your attention to something. In Google Trends, you will see something called search term, right? And sometimes they give you the topic. They will tell you it's a topic, or they give you the category of the topic. This is a football competition. Never select the search term. Search term, it means only looking at that specific search term. But when you select the topic, it's actually a group of search terms, okay? A lot of search terms. So when you do the analysis, this is very important. So this is important for us. Why? Because we need to know when should we start covering that event. Should we start 2 weeks ahead of time, 3 weeks ahead of time, and so on, right? So this was in November in 2020, and you can see things start peaking up like, you know, late October, early November. So this is now you are figuring out when is your serious coverage on the topic or in the event should start. The other thing also, it didn't end when the event ended. Right? So like, okay, the last game was, I don't know, December 2nd or December 4th of 2022. It actually took another 2 weeks after the event till the search demand and interest really died. So you need to understand how long ahead of the event you need to start and how long after the event you need to continue to cover this topic, okay? Then you need to do keyword research. Now, keyword research, utilize your favorite SEO tool. Google Trends doesn't give you much, to be honest with you. It gives you only 50 keywords. If you have SEMrush, Ahrefs, keywords everywhere. This is our own keyword and news dash, which mixes keyword planner with similar tools to some Russian stuff, where it tells you all the keywords, when do they trend in general, how many people on average are searching for it, how difficult it is, and then you can filter about what type of results. For example, I want to do keyword research only for keywords that will generate news boxes or top stories, right? Or only like people also ask or whatever, right? So I can see this, I can see also how valuable they are and all that stuff. The beauty about this is because we're using the keyword planner, when you see multiple keywords in similar search volumes, either Google treats them similar, you know, tickets, FIFA Club World Cup, FIFA Club World Cup brackets, right? Or they are very similar. Google like will not tell you like there's 5 extra people here than there, you know. Google will treat the same keyword exactly the same. So we understand our past performance, we analyze the search interest, when should we start covering the topic or the event, and when should we stop. The second thing, after we collected all the keywords, we want to build clusters. Clusters are a group of similar keywords that are grouped together, so you know how you're going to map your content, okay? You're not going to, like the old SEO school, oh, we're going to do like an article for every keyword. You know that this is done, right? Now, Google focuses on the topic and the entity and the cluster of the keywords together. So when you do an analysis, right, I looked at all, for example, the World Cup keywords, the most popular 1,000 keywords. And I like, you know, you can take the 1,000 keywords, put them in ChatGPT or whatever, and say, cluster them for me on like a primary and a secondary level. And you will see that whatever the tool will tell you, hey, most of the people are searching for the schedule, the dates, the times. A lot of people are going to be searching for the cities, the host cities and the stadiums. A lot of people are searching for the results and the group and the brackets and the standings, and so on. So you can hear there is a huge group searching for how to watch the TV channels, the streaming, and so on. This is very important to understand the total focus of all the keywords all at once. Okay, now let's go next. Okay, so we did the keyword research and we grouped them together. Now there is something I like to call adjacent trends. I love this, okay? This is a concept I came up with some time ago. And adjacent terms in very simple way here is like when the Super Bowl is running, people are buying TVs and looking for snack recipes and all that stuff, right? For Oscars, decorations, party times, and stuff like that. So I'm thinking about like, and it's funny for elections, I did this analysis long time ago, donations based on how many people searching for the candidate merch, right? It's like if a lot of people are buying or searching for that specific candidate jersey, or sorry, a swag or merch, there is more popularity and probably more donations. So here I did the research and I said, okay, for the World Cup, what are people are searching for that are close to the or adjacent to the event? It's not about the event itself. One thing it was like obvious is a lot of people are searching for building their own home stadiums, right? It's like, the best 4K TV, 70 inches, like the watching experience, right? A lot of people buying like big TVs. A lot of people are looking for history and what happened in the World Cup before. What do we do activities for kids around the World Cup, and so on. So this can give you some ideas, right, about like related or adjacent trends around the event. Similar thing for like, what do you call it? The Winter Olympics, right? Watch parties, travel, tech and viewing gear, merch and apparel, fantasy betting and prediction. Prediction is big for both of them, actually. History, kids, and so on. So keep this in mind because something may happen around the event or in the event that may actually generate a lot of adjacent trends. So you take all your keyword cluster, you take all the adjacent trends you want to focus on, and then you start writing your editorial plan or calendar and so on. Number 3, competitor analysis. You want to understand 3 things. What is their coverage, their rankings, and so on? What is their strength and weaknesses compared to you? And how much content they are producing, okay? So here, for example, this is available for you guys for free. If you go to news-.com under free tools, you will see World Cup and you will see Winter Olympics. That will give you like, day by day. We give you yesterday's results, and in the tool itself, you get the real-time data. And you can see, I was surprised, New York Times so far, because there is a lot of stuff going around the World Cup, political stuff, right? New York Times now is like really owning World Cup. The Guardian, and then the very first sports site is actually for Fox Sports. You have BBC, Yahoo, SI, ESPN, and so on, right? I'm glad actually that 4 out of the 10 is our clients. So it tells you like in the site, it's free, right? You can see the domain, their authority, how much traffic they're getting. So New York Times, for example, getting 6% of all the traffic around the World Cup. What's their average position in the news box or the top stories? How much coverage did they do, right? So if we have, let's say, in the past 2 weeks or 3 weeks since we start tracking, if there is over 20,000 keywords that we tracked, right? The way we track is we don't track a set of static keywords. Whatever is trending now, we start tracking it, right? So if we track 20,000, New York Times actually ranked for 25% of all the trending keywords around the World Cup. And then the beauty about and how many times they rank, the URL strength is another metric that I think is important, and we're going to talk about later. If I remove content production out of the equation, how strong each URL by itself? How long does it remain in the news box? How clickable it is, right? Because sometimes, hey, I only produce 5 articles. It's unfair to compare me to someone who produced 100 articles. So that's why we have like an individual URL metric on itself. The same thing you have for Winter Olympics. So that can give you a lot of information on the competitive analysis. Another thing also is like when you start tracking, let's say you're going to build your own set of keywords. Hey, John, these are the most important keywords. I like to analyze the keywords based on like, what do I own? What do the competitors rank for? Where am I weak? Where am I strong? And untapped. I love the untapped. Untapped, it means my competitors, at least 2 competitors, let's say you put 2 to 10 competitors that are important to you. 2 of my competitors at least rank for these keywords, but I don't. And you start analyzing this, like I like to analyze this like maybe during like live events once a day. At the end of the day, I want to see, okay, today this is like the top trends. There was like 100 big trends. We ranked for 50 or 20 of them, but these 20 we didn't rank for. And you start thinking about, why didn't we rank for? Question number 1, did we cover it? And if we covered it, okay, maybe we didn't cover it. Hey, why we didn't cover? Okay, oh, it's not related to us and stuff like this. Guys, let me remove the AI tracking that zoom in and out. It must be too much for you guys, technology. Okay, so let's remove that. So it doesn't zoom out for you in and out. Okay, there we go. Let's remove the tracking and let's do this. Okay. Okay. Number 4, you want to develop a content strategy. We understand what's our competitors excel at. We understand all the keywords that people are searching for. We understand all the adjacent trends. We understand what worked for us in the past. Okay, we talk to the editorial team and we figure out. Now you have to understand the type of your operation. Are you an ESPN level, SI level? You're writing hundreds of articles. You have reporters and in the field, stuff like this. This is the kind of organization you're in? Or are you, hey, John, we can only write maybe 5 to 10 stories a day about this. Then you have to put some criteria. Which stories? There could be 100 different trends around the World Cup and Winter Olympics. Which stories are you covering, right? Are you a local organization or a local news sites? You're only going to cover your local athletes in the competition, right? Are you an entertainment organization? You only cover entertainment aspects of things. Are you a political organization? You covering controversies and so on around the topic. So you need to identify before you get into the events, what are you going to be covering? You need to publish evergreen content, maybe 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the event. Explainers, foundations, history, nostalgia, all the stuff, best 10 athletes to follow, you know, the top 10 games and so on. So you start like 2 to 3 weeks. Continue using whatever tools available to you. So you can use Google Trends and look at the trends. Google Trends doesn't give you a lot and it's not categorized. So this is, but it's available and it's free, or you can use tools like News Dash, which tracks all the trends from 4 different sources every 15 minutes. So you can see all the new trends that are coming. So this is some ideas. In all events, how to watch and where to watch and stuff like this. This is a recommendation, for example, in Oscars. So I optimized Oscars for like 5 years and I worked with the Academy Awards and stuff like this. It's very important to publish like how to watch game or match or Oscars, maybe 4 hours ahead of the game or 4 hours ahead of the event. So it become index and it gets into Google and stuff like this. And once the event starts, you can utilize the same page if you have rights to display the video on the same page. And then tweak it a little bit, you know, watch event or game if you have rights to it with the same page. So this is a very good practice. You can publish like 4 hours ahead of time. And so on, event prediction, odds, and so on. We have like FanDuel, one of our clients. So they focus on every game. They know exactly what keywords they want to target, and so on. You need a metric. What is your metric? Is traffic is your metric? Is engagement on the site your metric? Is subscriptions your metric, right? You need to focus on that. Being everything for everyone doesn't work that much, right? Unless like, hey, John, we just want to drive traffic, you know? A lot of times you need to think about which articles you need to republish the next day. And we're going to talk a lot about republishing. Republishing is a very important component of all what we're talking about right now. You need to think of duplication on your site. If you have a tag page called World Cup, and then you created a hub page for World Cup, you don't want to have both. You want to integrate them both, you know, and so on. You need to think about content syndication. Okay, I wrote an article 3 years ago that got a lot of sites that got like the big news aggregators upset because I showed that Google will always favor the big sites over the original content. If you're aggregating your content to Yahoo or Microsoft or others, and it's a full content and exactly the same time you publish your content, Google will favor them. So you need to think, is syndication important for you during this event or not? Do you need to send everything, okay? Because that will impact your search traffic, but guess what? It will also impact your Google Discover traffic. We have solid evidence that Google also favor big news aggregators, syndicated content versus like original content. You need to think about short form videos. It's everywhere. I'm gonna show you data later, and YouTube. Do you have a YouTube strategy? Okay, YouTube is the #1 website now in Google Discover and in AI overviews. Okay, so this is something you need to think about. This is like, for example, we start tracking the World Cup since early January, and you can see every SERP feature, right? There's not much live yet because it didn't start, but you can see here, for example, like AI overviews. Almost like anywhere from 20 to 40% of all trending news queries will show AI overviews. I wonder during the event itself what will happen. Okay, you can see here that video results are very high, 50 to 70%, and short form videos are about maybe 5 to 15%. So don't just think about content, think about all the different verticals that you can work in. I'm gonna speed up a little bit because it's almost 25 minutes. Think about 0 clicks. Google really pushes the limit in the World Cup and winter events and stuff like this, or these kind of sports events. Google will push all the results, including news and AI overview, with their own cards, right? People searching for stuff like results, standing brackets, and stuff like this. Is it even worth doing this kind of content? Because Google will eventually own that space completely. So you need to keep an eye on the SERPs and avoid, you know, Google is telling you, I'm gonna write about matches, standings, brackets, and players. Should you even tackle that at all? The whole idea when you establish your content, you need a major landing hub for your content. Let's say like, you know, domain.com/World Cup. And I wouldn't say World Cup 2026 in the URL. You want to utilize this hub again and again and again. So don't create like /World Cup 2026. And then the next year you have to redirect. Just make it World Cup and make the content around 2026. Under that, I don't know, there are major specific top level categories. So maybe it's a country, maybe it's like, you know, a specific sport in the Olympics, and so on and so forth. And you need to link this, think of it as one site, this area, and how you can interlink between the different pages. Usually, I think these are the most important pages, the event landing page, right? Don't duplicate it with a tag page. Think about the secondary landing pages, sports, and so on, how, where, and to watch and stuff like this, or maybe a schedule page. your daily live updates. This is important, right? And I say daily. You cannot use the live updates for more than 1 day, okay? So it's a 1 day, and then create a new daily live update and so on. I don't know if you want to have a results page or a standings page or whatever, and any evergreen explainers. What are the top things that people search? If you already wrote evergreen explainers in the last Word Cup, recycle. Take all these URLs, right? Refresh the content, make it relevant to this Word Cup, and push them back again. If you want them to appear in the news box, you have to change the URL. If you don't care about the news box for these evergreen explainers, just maintain the same URL. This is a landing page for BBC, right? You have the FIFA World Cup. I would add 2026. I would add a couple of sentences that include some important entities. I will break this page by different sections, right? And different content modules. These are videos, these are stories, and stuff like this. But this page is very important. You need to also estimate the content production levels. Remember, content production will play a big role in understanding how well or bad you did for this event. So here is a trick. You search for, like, let's say World Cup, and you say site abcnews.go.com. Google doesn't display the number of results. This is an estimate. But if you go to the source code, search for the word results, Google will tell you how many results they have, and maybe you can update the dates as well. Only look for the last 7 days. So you can see what other competitors are writing around this topic through Google. And again, remember, this is an estimate, but it can tell you, hey, they wrote about 700 articles about this topic. Okay, the most important element is you cannot go through these events without training your editorial teams. Okay? Editorial teams have so much on their hand. They need to find stories, find sources, confirm sources, get the images, write the story, come up with clever headlines, and so on, right? Believe me, the last thing they care about is another SEO checklist on their plate. So it's very important to come and work with them ahead of the event when they can breathe. During the event, it's very hard, okay? And these are, I believe, like the 6 things are important, or 7 things that you need to mention. You know, this should be like maybe a 30 minutes training. Okay, hey guys, for every story you want to focus on this. Okay, everyone in the editorial team need to understand what is the primary keyword for this event. Hey, we need to mention World Cup 2026 in all headlines. It doesn't have to be in the beginning, but we need to mention it, for example, right? It depends which entity is more important. Winter Olympics is very important, or the sport's name in Winter Olympic is very important, okay? So this is tip number 1. Everyone needs to know what's the primary term. Everyone needs to understand how to optimize for their headlines in a very easy way, right? I like how Google Trends now added like another metric about search interest. Doesn't mean that there is a 500% increase in this term that it's more important. You can see here the blue dot that actually this is here, even that the search term is the search increase or the demand increase didn't increase as much, but you can see here there is more people, way more people searching for this. And so here, World Cup tickets chase Sapphire, or chase World Cup tickets Sapphire. You need to start and front load your headlines with the most important entities for your article. We're not saying just start with World Cup 2026 : no. What are the most important entity for that story? But do not forget your primary terms. This is something I talk about a lot, the dual title optimization approach, okay? You cannot optimize for rankings without optimizing for engagement. If you only optimize for rankings and people don't click your headline, guess what? Google actually will remove you from the results and replace you with something else. And you will not drive much traffic in Google Discover. And Google Discover right now drives double the traffic, if not triple the traffic that comes from search. So one part of your headline and title needs to get the rankings, and the second part needs to get the clicks. This is how you should always think of your headlines or titles, right? Dual optimization here. Super Bowl commercials 2024. This is going to get me the rankings. Crypto and AI are out. Insurance in. Okay. something that would make the user click this headline, okay? Article body, if you have a breaking news, publish it immediately, 100 words and stuff like this. Your intro paragraph should follow like the inverted pyramid writing style, right? All the important entities and topics and answering who, when, where, why in the first 1 to 2 paragraph of the story. Out of focus doesn't work. You need to bring all the important entities and topics and answering the questions in the first couple of paragraphs. What else? Article body, secondary keywords. This is all going to be available for you guys. Internal links. I invented this approach 17 years ago when I was working in ABC News. You have 2 navigations, okay? One navigation is for the site. Hey, this is our videos, this is live, this is politics, and so on. And the second navigation is controlled by the SEO editorial team or the SEO team. This here, if you include the keywords that you will focus on, like let's say you wrote an article, it's about that specific thing, link to it from the secondary navigation. It helps so much when it's on the secondary navigation here. Also, 2 weeks ahead of the games, link to your hub page from the top navigation and keep it there for like maybe 1 week after the event. These 2 things help a lot with delivering like link juice across the website. So utilize primary navigation and secondary navigation if you have it on your site. External links, when you want to link to some other sites, don't give them the keywords that you want to rank for. You can say just like ABC News reports, utilize the word reports, but keep the primary keywords for yourself and for your internal links. Content refreshes, I mentioned this, identify if there's any evergreen articles in the past that you want to refresh. Make a decision, do you want to update the URL or not? Usually for evergreen, I like to keep the URL as is, but update the content and make it fresh, update the timestamp, add the media. This is all the freshness triggers, right? Timestamp, schema, at least update 30% of the content, minor changes to the headline if it already works for you, and work with your social team to push that content into the different social platforms. Google track Chrome data. So when they see a lot of like traffic coming to a page through their Chrome data, they pay attention to it as well. Live blogging, I'm going to discuss this in details later, so we will come back here. Prepare and audit your site for technical stuff. Make sure your schema, canonicals, and redirects are working well. You will be surprised how many times we actually went into an event and then we discovered that something was not working. So you don't want to discover this during the event. You want to discover it ahead of the event. Focus on your schema, canonicals, and redirects. Make sure that they're all working. You don't have to do like a full audit of everything. Create a URL policy. How are you going to handle live events? Okay. I like, for example, to do event dash day 1 or date, whatever, right? And every day has its own URL. Do not use the same live blog for multiple days. It doesn't work. You have to do every day its own live blog. Work with your odd dev team. SEO is about like, working with all the teams within the company. Do an email marketing, have an email marketing strategy. Like, for example, even for small things, like when I used to work in Vanity Fair and Game of Thrones was a big thing and we knew that this is going to last for like at least 5 years, we created an email list for Game of Thrones. And then when this event or season or show retire, you can migrate them into like a broader one. So if you have like the World Cup email list for people to join, once the World Cup ends, you can migrate them to football or soccer if you have a newsletter for that, or you can migrate them to sports overall. So work with the email team. Social media team. X is the most popular site in Google Discover. And guess what? Specifically in sports. You want to figure out what you want to do in X, which stories you want to share. Can you monetize X or not? If you do produce videos, you can actually have an agreement with Twitter. And actually, I used to do that and drive monetization and revenue from X. And cross promotions, and stuff like this. A lot of this, especially on social, will help you discover efforts. So you can see on the right, YouTube and X are the top #1 on site, and X is #2. What this tells you that for every 100 users that go to YouTube, 19 will go to X, and then 3 will go to Yahoo. So they are so big, right? And for soccer specifically, X is actually #1. So for every 100 users who will see soccer content from X on Google Discover, 58 will go to YouTube. So, and then ESPN is #3. So YouTube and Twitter are very, very big. Now let's get into during the event, okay? You need to establish a war room. Doesn't matter if it's physical or virtual, but there need to be certain key individuals in this war room that in constant contact with each other. You can't just find, oh, who's responsible for editorial today? Who's responsible for SEO? Who should I go to for technical, right? It's like you need, okay, this person is responsible and they have to be in this room during their shift. So you go to one place if there's any issues for that Slack room or whatever to discuss if there's any problems. I like Slack. I automate a lot of stuff from NewsDash. So, hey, NewsDash, watch out. There's a missing opportunity. Your competitors, 5 of them are writing about this trend and ranking for it, but we have nothing trending or ranking. So create some kind of alert or monitor for important stuff within the Slack channel or other Slack channels. It's a common practice that you write the stories before the event concludes. So if you know there is a big game tomorrow about country 1 and country 2, let's say US and Mexico will play, okay, you know everything about the game except the end and what happened during the game. That story should be ready for you, okay? So the template of that story should be ready, and maybe 2 or 3 paragraphs on the top are waiting for the game to start. Once the game starts, you start updating the first 2 paragraphs and add the results and publish right away once the game ends, okay? But be careful. We do this approach a lot for, like, you know, celebrity death. You know, oh, this celebrity maybe is old or, like, you know, have certain problems, and many news organizations will have pre-made obituaries for, like, different celebrities because it drives a lot of traffic. So prepare stories, but make sure you don't publish the story before the event actually happens. The Super Bowl also, I think in 2017, I can't remember which publisher actually pushed the story before the Super Bowl ended because the game was like 20-0, and they said, okay, nowhere that this game will end differently, but the other team actually won the game. So be careful, okay? Like, you know, but this is a very good practice that can save you a lot of time for events that you know everything about the event except the results. Monitor all the new keywords. So there's a lot of stuff right now are being about tickets and visas and stuff like this. So pay attention to what's trending right now. This is like, now in a big event like this, you want to check the trends every like maybe 30 minutes or so, if you have like big coverage on it, okay? Or utilize a tool, Google Trends, you can go and refresh, NewsDash can send you these alerts automatically. You need to see what are the most important stories that Google cares about, okay? So for example, here, we track all the news publishers and we see which articles are highlighted in Google more than others, and the recency of these articles. Oh, there is a new article by The Guardian about the heat seekers and whatever, right? And monitor your ranking. So you're gonna monitor the trends, you're gonna monitor the articles published by other news organizations, and you wanna monitor are you ranking or not. There's a lot of things you can monitor if you lose a ranking, but I personally like to monitor missed opportunities. When 4 or 5 of my direct competitors are ranking for a specific term and I'm not. This is also like, we don't have the coverage, we don't have the resources and stuff like this. But do whatever policy you want to track and do that. I like to see, like, one of the things we do, which I love, is we track every article that you publish. So we automatically track it for you, and we see if it's indexed, how long it gets indexed, is it ranking or not, and then we give you recommendations. But this is another way, in addition to tracking what's out there, track what did you actually publish. I published this article. This article should rank for this keyword specifically. Are we ranking or not? Hey, John, I'm not going to write 100 stories a day. I'm just only going to write 10 stories. Okay, for these 10 stories, make sure that you're ranking. And if you're not ranking, what can you do? So you need a template for SEO optimization. We built this in Newsdash, but you need to have your own template. Okay, if I don't rank, I need to check these 10 things versus the competition, like what's ranking in Google. How's our headline, how's our intro, how the depth of the article, and so on. So I think I wrote these 10 things later. I'm going to show it to you, but you need a template to evaluate your content versus what's ranking well in Google, and you can optimize. Okay, what else? Okay, let's go here. Monitor a list of keywords. You can create your own list of keywords that you want to, hey, John, yes, there is a lot of news happening, but I don't want to track everything. I don't care about every trend that's happening. I only care about these 10 keywords or 20 keywords that I want to track every day. Okay, so create a list. There's a lot of tools that are accessible, and you say, I want to track these 10 keywords every day, for example, or every hour or so. When I track keywords, I like to focus on live, which keywords that actually Google is showing the live red label. If you have live blog posting and stuff like this, it's very important to know where Google is showing these, what did I lose, what is missing, competitors are ranking or not. I also like to see if you have a tool or similar tool, or you can spy on your competitors' share of traffic. You can see if suddenly one of your competitors had a spike in the traffic. Why? Right? Like in Newsdash, you can click and you see the keywords. So if you have your own, if you build your own trending or tracking tools, you can see, oh, they suddenly ranking for all my 20 keywords, and this is a spike or something, or they wrote this big story. These are the 11 things that usually my template to evaluate my story if it's not ranking. The intent. Everyone's searching for the tickets. I'm writing about the tickets, but people are not, I'm not focused on the major intent. People are complaining it's expensive. I'm writing about how to buy it. And Google is showing the stories about why tickets are so expensive. Okay, so my content does not match the intent in Google. Okay, headline dual optimization, missing entities, reference links, and so on. This is my template to optimize that we built in Newsdash. Monitor Google Discover. Whatever tool you have, we have our own tools, but here you can see, okay, these are the most important stories that are trending in Google Discover now. A lot of time, Google Discover is 1 day behind. I'm not saying that they discover it after 1 day, but the story doesn't peak till the next day, okay? So look at all the stories, look at the headlines, number one, and look at what image did you use. These are the two important factors. And if you, I usually say 20% of your story should be like discover focus, no more than that. The rest of your content will work automatically for you for discover, but viral-ish content, maybe 20% to 20%, and you see, oh, wow, this is like really big. Try to mimic the headline as close as possible and the image, not the same image, but understand the image patterns that you're using. Here, for example, I'm tracking in the tool everything around this entity, Winter Olympics. And then I can see all the new updates minute by minute. I'm going to skip this. Live blogging. Let's get into that. For real-time coverage, the most important thing is you need accurate and fast publishing. If you have 100 words, publish. And then go back and update the rest of the story. Okay, don't wait. Oh, I need this perfect story, 2,000 words. It doesn't work like this way. If you have a solid 100 words about like something that just happened and it's important and it's accurate, you have it, publish it, and then go back and keep updating the story. For live blogging, you should start your live blogging on a specific thing, event, incident, whatever, at least 5 to 7 hours. If there's a big Mexico US game and you're doing live blogging for it, start 3-4 hours ahead of time. And then the minimum, I would say, updated every 30 minutes. Okay. And your headline needs to have the most important entities in the beginning, World Cup 2026 live. And then the second part of the headline is the latest major update. You know, this player got kicked out, drama in the field, you know, they win. So this is the format, and keep adding the new stuff on the top of the article. Even if you don't have a live blog template, you can fake it. Just update the headline and add new stuff and write dates on the top. Google will not give you the live label or anything, but they will consider or like treat it as a live blog. So you can do this even if you don't have the technical capabilities. Make sure you update the timestamp and so on, and the schema. If you can use the live blog schema, that would be awesome. I spoke about the multi-day events. This is a live blog, you know. You have an image. Every time you have a new update, you just add it to the top, add it to the top, add it to the top. And the headline is 2 parts, right? And you can see here they did cards. And for each card, they wrote like maybe 3-4 sentences. And then they link to a breakout story in there. So there's different styles you can do that. Always think about what is the next story. It's very important with live coverage of an event, okay? I think about it, I call it think in waves. What is wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for this big story, right? So the wave 1 is, this is what happened right now, breaking news, right? You know, Argentina versus Brazil, the results, Messi goal video, highlights, all that stuff. Wave 2, the reaction layers, how people are reacting, Messi's reaction, the coach reaction, you know, VAR explained, the VAR issue explained, and so on. So you have different waves for big stories. Consider all these waves for continuous story coverage. Social media integration, we spoke about YouTube, we spoke about Twitter, engage the audience, push to Twitter, it's very important this year. Utilize official hashtags and popular hashtags. If World Cup saying FIFA World Cup is like, oh, we're going to use FWC 2026, people may not be using that. Maybe they're using like World Cup. Hashtags is not as important as it used to be before, but it's always good to be part of the group. Your social media team should have their fingers on the pulse. You know, something happened and you can create a meme out of it, you know, that matches your editorial guidelines. That would be great. When the Super Bowl lights went out, Oreo, right? This tweet, I think, made like 4 million retweets or something. You know, you can still eat Oreo when it's dark. You know, so put your hands on the pulse. This is like very simple. It took them like 2 minutes to produce. Post-event. For a single day event, right? I always tell my teams is like the next day is the most important day. Oscars at night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, people went to sleep. Everyone wakes up the next day and trying to see what happened at Oscars, the speeches, the performance, the results, and stuff like this, okay? This is an extended event, okay? But let's say there is a game late at night, and there is still interest in that game or that incident the next day. You have 2 options. You can write a new story, or you can take your story that did very well yesterday and today is not driving much traffic, republish it in a new URL, right? Do this with cautious, right? You're not going to do this for everything. Republish it in a new URL, change 1 word in the headline, change the media maybe a little bit, update the intro paragraph, and publish it again. So always see, can I use a story from yesterday into today's coverage? Publish in new URLs. These are the 4 elements we discussed before about triggering freshness. Okay, so we covered so much, how we prep for the event, how we optimize during the event itself, and what to do after the event. You need to do an analysis, right? You need to look at what did work well for you, what didn't work. You need to write a story. Don't just share a bunch of numbers, right? You need to tailor this report analysis for like the different audience. What do you need to tell editorial versus the marketing team versus the CEO, for example, or C-level? Analyze, separate Google Discover traffic. Okay, you don't control Google Discover is unpredictable, so separate it from the search traffic and say our search traffic did this year over year or event over event, and this is how we did in Google. Also, the SERP data is very important. If Google is showing for 50% of all the trends all this big knowledge cards, that will impact. When Google introduced this to Oscars, we lost 30% of the traffic year over year. So you need to understand what appears in the SERP to evaluate, and evaluate also your content production. Hey, we produce 5 articles a day or 20 articles a day. Last time we did this, we produced 50 articles a day. So this is all different elements that make a huge difference. You can compare between you and the competition. How much did you rank, your traffic share, and so on. I spoke about this, right? Wait 2 to 3 weeks after the event, Google Trends will tell you how popular this event versus last time. If you're doing like year over year comparison or event over event, you will notice, for example, this is like for Black Friday, and this was like 2023. The traffic was much less interest than like 3 years ago. So you can't compare me to my traffic 3 years ago because the demand was not there. It was half the demand 3 years ago. So this is our all different elements actually that will contribute to your analysis. Okay. And the final thing, every time I do something like this, I like to update my playbook. Here is my playbook for this event. You don't need to reinvent the whole wheel every time you go through this event. Create a live document, update it, put your recommendations, your analysis, all that stuff that is ready for you when you go to this event next year. That's it. I hope this is helpful. I created this sheet for you guys. You can have it here on the single event SEO. I'm gonna share it for you here if I can. Okay, I will send it to you guys. And then this is everything about me and the event. Okay, who have any question? If you have questions, please like raise your hand or put it in chat and I'm happy to answer it. We have like about maybe 6 minutes. Sorry, I spoke too fast. 80 slides. Okay, I dual optimize. Thanks, John. Okay, the 1-day delay for content appearing in Discover, is this the same for Expost? No, so it's not 1-day delay. The content peaks within like 24 hours. So Google find it, Google Discover find the content, but it keep gaining more momentum and traffic within like 24 hours, not immediately like search. Tim here, can we talk a little bit more about the dual optimization? Are you recommending separate headlines for the H1 and meta type? No, I'm saying is regardless which headline you use for your SEO title, okay? Because this is what's gonna appear most of the time in search or in news, right? News will take your, Google News will take your H1, but top stories, I think, will take your title. Whatever goes in the title, you need 2 parts to that title. One part that gets you the rankings and the other part that gets you the clicks. If your H1 and title closely matching, even better. But I would like focus on the title. How can I get the clicks and the rankings and the clicks at the same time? What is the best practice around archiving the event news? It's a whole different topic. I would maybe take the World Cup hub page, create a copy out of it and call it World Cup 2026, but keep the original World Cup page and then have all the important news out there. If you charge for archives, that's a whole different conversation. Anything else? Okay. Do you think it's a good idea to create a new landing page with no authority instead of optimizing an existing? Definitely, I like to optimize whatever I have in my system or on my site. Chelsea, you are saying the landing page should be different than the category listing page, or can we optimize leverage? If you can optimize an existing page that you have on your site, it's better. So let's say you have a tag page for World Cup. Optimize that page. If you have the option to actually add an image, add featured content, add intro paragraphs, absolutely do that. But let's say you have no control over your tag page. I would say create a new landing page and redirect all this tag page to the new landing page. John, do you have the same but in Discover? I'm not sure what is this question about. What is the reasoning for evergreen content being published? It just like people search for evergreen content ahead of the game, right? Nothing happened yet in the event. Like there's no games played or stuff like this, and people sometimes is like, what are the best, the team that won the most World Cup, for example, and stuff like this. I like to publish 2 to 3 weeks ahead of the games, and if it's still people, there's still demand to it, you can refresh it again and so on. I think that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you have any questions, John@newsdash.com, and my team is here as well. We're always happy to help. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will hopefully write something about all of this and put the video so you can watch it again. Thank you so much, guys. Have a great day.